Bases dropped. It's a Friday. Once again, I back up so my head isn't chopped off here as we start everything here on a Friday. We've got some news on a couple of different fronts. We'll get into that. And there's news on Major League Soccer. There's news on Atlanta United. There's World Cup stuff. Trust me, there's World Cup stuff. And it'll be a Friday. So whatever's on your mind, as always, Freestyle Friday is up and running. And thanks for hanging out with us yesterday as the news broke. And if you haven't seen it, I think you can go to Jason's Twitter account at Longshoe for as long as we still have Twitter. And the video's out there. And Teise, our friends down there, if you haven't had the chance to catch up with them, you can follow them on Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. Thiago Almada makes it to the Argentine World Cup squad. Obviously, injuries, and Thiago was right there at the edges of making the roster that was going to go initially, but then you have injuries, and Thiago Almada gets the call up, and the pictures of his family when he got word, and then B, when he was at the airport boarding the plane or trying to get to the plane, which turned out to be kind of difficult considering all the people that were at the airport that wanted to wish him well. Very, very cool stuff that we got to see yesterday with Thiago Almada and his being appointed to the Argentine World Cup squad for Qatar. That's a big blanking deal. It's a big blanking deal for Thiago Almada and his career. It's a big blanking deal for Major League Soccer, and it's a big blanking deal for Atlanta United. And there are 37 players, if my math is right, 37 players that are part of MLS rosters that are playing in Qatar. But for a team and for it to be Atlanta United to have Thiago Almada on the Argentine World Cup squad, that is amazing and incredibly cool. And just the scenes yesterday that were a part of that, where once again, we saw the family reaction, his dad, and we talked about it kind of as it was a developing story with Nico Moreno yesterday on Thursdays with Nico, where Radiola Red was talking to his dad, and the quotes are out there about, how they're crying and now they're going and all that kind of stuff. Very, very cool moment for Thiago Almada. Very, very cool for Atlanta United and for Major League Soccer. That, however, morning, Sean, that is not my opening kickoff, because that's going to be a topic for the morning. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. There's your QR code. KickoffCoffeeCO.com. You can follow them on social media, Kickoff Coffee CO, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And since it's just me this morning until hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals join us at 9:30, and then we'll continue to talk about everything else that's going on in the world. So the QR code's blocking my face for those of you who are just getting to listen to this show a little later on. But QR code right there. Once again, use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off of your purchases with Kickoff Coffee, and they in turn take 10% and reinvest it into the youth game. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. So my question this morning on the opening kickoff is, with the weather being what it is, I admit that I'm not a very cold weather person. I mean, it's like, I'll dig snow when it's there. It's like, oh, great, snowfall. As long as it doesn't paralyze the planet, which in this part of the world, so for those of you that don't know, we're based here in the Atlanta area. It pretty much paralyzes us. There's always the run on the stores, and you're trying to stack up toilet paper and everything. So with the cold blast that has come through, and the anticipation that it's not going away anytime soon, temperatures this weekend, I think lows below freezing, that kind of stuff, highs in the 50s. And Jim Cantori, for those of you that weren't watching the Weather Channel this morning, he's up in Western New York, where Western New York is getting pounded when it comes to weather right now. And Sunday Night Football could be very, very interesting, with reports of up to 4 feet of snow for Orchard Park, New York, for the Bills game. If you could, here's my question for you for the opening kickoff. If you could you perform your job duties in bed under an electric blanket, because I know a lot of mornings I would like to be able to do that. I can't quite do it. So that's why I'm asking you and hoping that you can live vicariously through me. Could you perform your duties at work in bed, maybe on a computer or what have you, over a phone? No comment. Could you perform your job duties in bed under an electric blanket? So that's your question. I'll keep bringing that up. Emilio, know that you've retired from recreational skiing, not so much into the cold. I'm right there with you, Emilio. I am right there with you, my friend. I'm not a skier anyway. I'm not that much of an outdoorsy person when it comes to kinds of activities. Yeah, well, Sean, you're not wrong either way. But yeah, I just never got into skiing. I mean, occasionally when we used to have ice skating rinks, then I would go out and I'd put on ice skates and I would do that. But the thing is for me being left-handed, I would always want to go counterclockwise, and I'm freaking everybody else out. It's like I'm going, it's like I'm going, actually, no, I'm going clockwise, because if I bail, I'm going to the left and I'm going this way. So I'm going clockwise. Everybody else is going counterclockwise, and I'm freaking people out. It's like, dude, why are you slamming into me? So that was about the extent of it for me, was the idea of ice skating, but it could be like 65, 70 degrees outside, as long as the ice skating rink was cool. So David, too much snow for the NFL, moving to Detroit for American football. And they've got a roof. Ford Field's got a roof. By the way, the new stadium that is being planned for the Buffalo Bills would not have a roof. So that still you build the new stadium that would take over for whatever the sponsor is in Buffalo right now, Rich Stadium or what have you, and it still wouldn't have a roof. The new stadium in Buffalo would not have a roof. So there you go. That's your question this morning. For our friends at Opening Kickoff, once again brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. So please feel free to let me know, as we are here this morning, if you could get your job done under an electric blanket and just do it in bed all day if you could. So once again, use the code SoccerDownHere15. Thanks to our friends at Kickoff Coffee, and thanks to all of you who have decided to start your mornings with Kickoff Coffee. And kickoffcoffeeco.com, Kickoff Coffee CO on Instagram, Facebook, and on the Twitters. So, all right. Couple of different things. Well, yeah, and David, I'm right there with you. Any warm drink on a cold day. But the thing is that, all right, so now here's my follow-up question. Do you guys, do all of you who are watching, do you eat ice cream on a cold day? Do you drink cold things on a cold day because of that whole notion of wanting to balance out your body temperature so it's not as much of a shock? Because I'm the kind of guy that will drink cold drinks, as evidenced by this, and I will eat ice cream on a cold day just to kind of – I don't like coffee either, Sean. I'm not a coffee person. I'm more of a hot chocolate person. But so, I mean, hot chocolate, whatever. I'm a cold drink guy, and short of actually having to exude the effort to try and drink something hot. But that means that you go microwave and you're mixing things and all. No, so it's just a lot easier for me to sit there, pour a cold drink, and balance out your body temperatures. Do you guys do the cold things? Okay, so 4-card, and so all right, so 4-card. All right, so we're down that path. 4-card says no, but my daughter says there's nothing better than ice cream on a cold day. Okay. See, I was going to ask about that, so that's what it's like. That's what these opening segments are for. It's trying to figure out, okay, what weird thought pops into my brain, and is it really weird? So, okay. So 4-card's daughter digs ice cream on a cold day. So all right. So I'm not alone in that. That's good. Good to know. All right. Okay. So we've got stuff this morning that has broken. Most of it is World Cupian based, but, yes. Okay. So J-Dub deeply appreciates a contrasting temperature drink, cold office, hot coffee. Okay. All right. So both these stories kind of broke about 2 hours ago. And Qatar, and this is from Sean Engel at The Guardian. FIFA has confirmed alcohol will be banned for World Cup fans in a major and unprecedented volte-face just 48 hours before the tournament will kick off in Qatar, News that will not be sold inside or around the perimeter of stadia was confirmed by FIFA in a terse statement Friday afternoon. Yes, that's where we are, Sean. Quote, following discussions between host country authorities and FIFA, a decision has been made to focus the sale of alcoholic beverages on the FIFA Fan Festival. Sidebar, have you seen those rooms that you can get for $207 a night? Just saying. Other fan destinations and licensed venues are moving sales points of beer from Qatar's World Cup 2022 stadium perimeters. There is no impact to the sale of Bud Zero. I haven't had alcohol in a very long time. I don't know if Bud Zero is worth the thought, which will remain available at all Qatar's World Cup stadiums. And Sam, you're not wrong. It added, the tournament organizers appreciate AB InBev's understanding and continuous support to our joint commitment to cater for everyone during the FIFA World Cup in Qatar 2022. Now, once again, Sean Engel continues. However, football's governing body will now be looking nervously over its shoulders at the prospect of legal action from Budweiser, which has a $75 million sponsorship agreement with FIFA and is likely to regard this as a major breach of contract. In a tweet moments just before the news became official, the U.S. beer brand tweeted, quote, well, this is awkward, end quote, and then they deleted the tweet. The sale of alcohol is strictly controlled in Qatar. Organizers had promised that it would be available in match venues and in fan zones and that it would be also reasonably priced. However, it's now decided that alcohol will be available at matches only in hospitality boxes where the cheapest suites are nearly $20,000 a match, and some fan zones after 7 p.m., where it will cost nearly £12 for a 500 milliliter of Budweiser. I'm guessing that's the bottle. So basically a bottle of Bud, £12. The Guardian understands the decision was taken after the Qataris decided that everyone inside World Cup stadiums had to feel comfortable, and that wouldn't be the case if fans were seen drinking alcohol or turned up drunk. In their view, this is a tournament where there will be a large number of supporters from Gulf and Asian countries where drinking alcohol is not part of the culture. And whereas there are some alcohol-free fan zones in Doha in a stadium, it's hard to escape people who've been drinking. However, it's unclear why they've taken the decision now and not in the 12 years since in winning the right to host the World Cup. Until recently, organizers had always said they would find a way to find a middle ground between Western fans' tastes and Qatar's conservative culture. That message was reiterated most recently by Fatma Al-Nuaimi, head of communications for the Supreme Committee, who said, quote, when it comes to alcohol, hospitality is part of our culture, even if alcohol is not. There will be designated areas where drinks will be served, especially the fan zones, so it will be in the places where the fans will gather, but not openly in the streets. The organization's official fan guide also states that, quote, ticket holders will have access to Budweiser, Bud Zero, and Coca-Cola products within the stadium perimeter for at least 3 hours before games and for 1 hour afterward. The news was greeted with frustration by the Football Supporters Association, which questioned whether the Qataris could now be trusted on their other promises. Quote, some fans like beer to match and some don't, but the real issue is the last-minute U-turn, which speaks to a wider problem. The total lack of communication and clarity from the organizing committee towards supporters, end quote, a spokesman said. Second paragraph, if they can change their minds on this at a moment's notice with no explanation, supporters will have understandable concerns about whether they will fulfill other promises relating to accommodation, transport, and other cultural issues. Sam Williamson in this morning. This will be the most boring World Cup. No alcohol during the games. Blasphemy. And yes, JW. Of course, there's no impact to Bud Zero as it's non-alcoholic. 4-card. Of course, there's exceptions for the rich. David. At this point, I want the hotel, quote, media blackouts, quote, and no alcohol, quote, situation to melt down. I don't want harm to come to any fans, but want FIFA executives to be fully embarrassed by choosing this location. David, I don't know if they will ever be, sadly. Those of us who are outside the footprint, who will be talking about these kinds of things as we go, I know that FIFA and the host networks are going to be focusing on the action, and that's what they're going to want everyone else to focus on. Nothing to see here. Stay calm, all as well. It's like Kevin Bacon from Animal House. He's standing he's standing in the middle of the Doha, doing stay calm, all is well. That's what I'm envisioning. You have that character from Animal House sitting there going, stay calm, all is well, and there you go. So we'll see what else is going to be discovered. There was a report this morning. I haven't been able to corroborate it or get any background. So right now there is a story out there that I have yet to confirm that it appears that Middle Eastern and the Middle Eastern and North Africa footprint, the host broadcaster, BN, is going to be on roughly a 3-minute delay showing their matches in the live window. So they can monitor the shots, I guess, from the international broadcast feed and sit there. And if they feel like they need to alter a shot or change an angle or something, that they'll do that. So there is a story out there that it could be on a 3-minute delay in the Middle East and North Africa. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. But yeah, David, I think that the egos that are attached to a lot of these individuals, I don't think that they will be embarrassed by choosing the location. Patrick Sullivan, welcome back in, Patrick. Good to see you this morning. FIFA shamed. Cue FIFA execs dabbing their eyes with wads of cash. Yes. And speaking of which, there's a Jack Warner story that I want to get into as we go a little later this morning. J-Dub, once again, just feels like the best case scenario for FIFA this tournament is to nervously laugh their way through every new scandal and just hope that nobody else gets hurt or dies. Yeah, I think that. Well, and Gianni Infantino yesterday, it was announced that he is going to run unopposed for yet another term. So Gianni Infantino will be in charge. It seems. Yeah, good to be back live. Yeah, it is. It's good to see you, Patrick. Don't be a stranger. But yeah, so it looks like Gianni Infantino with his $3 million a year gig. That's what he's paid officially. We're not talking about anything else that runs down the pike, but it looks like he's going to be running unopposed for yet another term to be the boss of FIFA. So we'll have that to kind of chew on as we continue here. Let's see. Oh, the Jack Warner story. Let me get into that. Let me see if I can grab that really quickly. And let's see if I can get the full details here with Jack Warner. The Privy Council has ruled in a unanimous ruling that former FIFA Vice President Jack Warner can be extradited from his homeland of Trinidad to the United States to face corruption charges. And the guy really to follow here would be Ken Benzinger on what's left of Twitter. Reporter for New York Times Politics, and he was the author of the Red Card book. So Reuters has that Jack Warner can be extradited from his home, according to a London court. This was yesterday. Warner's lawyers argued that his extradition was unlawful, but London's Privy Council, the highest court of appeal for many Commonwealth countries, unanimously dismissed the appeal. Suspicion and rumors have surrounded the 2010 votes by FIFA's executive to hand the World Cup to Russia and the 2022 edition to Qatar. In 2020, a U.S. Department of Justice indictment said bribes were paid to soccer officials to secure their votes for hosting rights. The DOJ alleges that then FIFA Vice President Warner was paid $5 million through various shell companies to vote for Russia to host the 2018 World Cup. His role as president of CONCACAF, which organizes soccer here in this footprint, gave him, and this is Reuters words, gave him enormous influence as a power broker for former FIFA chief Sepp Blatter. A former member of the executive committee, former CONCACAF president, Warner was suspended by FIFA in 2011 and in 2015, charged with wire fraud, racketeering, and money laundering by the United States. FIFA banned him from all soccer-related activity for life in 2015. The 79-year-old has always denied any wrongdoing. So back to the Benzinger string. He was accused of taking bribes for his vote for the 2010 and 2018 World Cups, as well as many other acts of corruption over the decades in football. According to the indictment, $10 million for his vote for South Africa, $5 million for his vote for Russia. He was supposed to give $1 million of the South African money to Chuck Blazer, but only delivered $750,000. He also may have taken money from Morocco. Once again, this is Benzinger and his reporting. Warner's sons, Darian and Daryl, were among the first to get swept up in the case, as Benzinger wrote in his book Red Card. They were arrested in front of their father in Miami in 2012, later pled guilty in exchange for cooperation in the case. Both could testify against their father, To temper this, Benzinger is told, that even with this obstacle cleared, the process of extradition from Trinidad and Tobago can still take a very long time, so this may not be over yet. Per the Trinidad Guardian, the Privy Council in the UK ruled that the extradition treaty between the U.S. and Trinidad and Tobago does not preclude Warner's extradition. This step only means his standard extradition hearing in Trinidad and Tobago can continue. There isn't a timeline on that proceeding, and in theory, the magistrate there could still rule against the extradition. In this case, 2 judges in Argentina ruled against extradition on basis of charges in the case rather than the legality of the treaty. In a statement, Warner made, quote, "It is unfathomable how a New York district attorney could commence a prosecution against me based solely on the fact that monies payable to me passed through the American banking system." That's kind of how it works, sir. He also claimed, meaning Benzinger reports, that Warner also claimed falsely the prosecution was motivated by the U.S. and UK losing the vote to host the World Cup. Quote, Warner, "They were therefore not pleased and thereafter began a campaign against FIFA, which resulted in the arrest and prosecution of several executive committee members of FIFA." Benzinger, demonstrably false. The FBI opened the case at least 5 months before the votes on the 2018 and 2022 World Cups were cast, as he wrote in his book. It is, however, extremely popular myth among FIFA officials accused cause of corruption, including Sepp Blatter himself. And folks are asking Benzinger what happened to those who offered the bribes. Some of them have been charged, convicted. Others still seem to be at large. So, So you had interesting news from Jack Warner yesterday. So once again, and I think, and I'm trying to remember the logistics, but I thought Warner had a house. I thought he had bought a home in the suburbs of Atlanta for like 7 figures. And I'm trying to remember that article and wherever I found, because when that story came up yesterday, I was trying to find that information, and I'll see if I can find that too as we continue to go forward in all of this. Once again, Patrick thinks Infantino and FIFA may have another DOJ investigation in their future before the run-up to the 26th World Cup. You're probably not wrong, but we'll see what happens with that, and how things continue to go forward. But no, it's been an interesting morning, and that's the word that I use, involving everything going on with the World Cup, where the World Cup folks would prefer that you just kind of sat there and said, hey, let's focus on the games, when there's a whole lot of other stuff going on that needs to be focused on. And our friends at The Athletic are there, and they're going to be reporting on it every single day. And it will be interesting to see what the lay of the land is. I mean, we go back to how it was initially with the Danish live shot, and how they were interrupted, and how Grant Wall was interrupted for taking a picture on a wall, WALL, taking a picture on a WALL. And he did not delete that photo and was posting it in his daily columns. And so if you haven't subscribed to the Grant Wall on Substack, I would recommend that, because I've done that too. John Arnold, I've subscribed to. Grant Wall, I've subscribed to. So yeah, there's a lot of folks that will have their boots on the ground trying to report on what's going on. But the host networks have, for the most part, already said that no, we're just going to focus on the action on the field, and we'll focus on that, and then let everybody else do all the other stuff. So reminder, once again, the first match is on Sunday, and I give the schedule makers a lot of credit, because it's at 11 o'clock in the morning, our time, East Coast time. So that gives you the chance to take in Qatar and Ecuador before the NFL kickoffs. So that's really good scheduling on their part. Our plan, once again, here we'll be live in the mornings, except for Thanksgiving morning next week on Thursday. We've got some traveling to do to spend time with our family, so we'll have the tape content. And Friday, remember, next Friday, week from today, we will have the get together, and we will be at Wild Heaven with our friends from American Outlaws, Bart Keeler, has been discussing that one. So it'll be good to be with our friends in the West End, and we will have that one up and running. And so we'll be there. That'll be the content that will roll over to the network on your Friday. And so it'll be a very, very busy week. But most of the mornings, it's going to be kind of pseudo watch-along-y, commenting on what's happened, previewing what's going to happen. And I'm opening the door for all of our media friends who, if they just want to come by for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, see what's going on, say their piece, and get out, they can. So it's just kind of be an open door during the World Cup. We do have some of our friends who are coming in their regular segments. As far as I know, Dylan Butler is still coming on Wednesdays at 10. I know that Nico Moreno will be coming in from the West Coast on hopefully Thursday afternoons. But to all of our friends who are here domestically, I'm opening the door that we have, and it's like, hey, you want to come in and say something? We'll just kind of do that. And like I said, the show goes, hours will pretty much be the same from like 9 to 10:30 or whenever, 11 o'clock or so. But we're just going to try to have as much fun as humanly possible. And Patrick, we did lead with the $75 million oopsie. With the sponsorship with Budweiser. So Bud Zero is still available. Since I am not a partaker of alcoholic products, I don't know if anyone here has mentioned or has partaken in Bud Zero. So I don't know what it tastes like. So maybe if there's someone out there who has and can let everybody else know. But yeah. Yes, and that is absolutely true. Five Stripe, you are absolutely true. Hopefully he has made it. So it is Happy Thiago and Qatar Day. That is without question. That is a new national holiday for those of us here in the SDH footprint. Happy Thiago and Qatar Day. Every November 18th, we will celebrate it. We will celebrate Happy Thiago and Qatar Day. And Patrick, I know. You're not alone in that. Non-alcoholic beers against your religion. And Five Stripe, to be honest with you, I didn't either. I legitimately did not either know that Bud had a Bud Zero. Did not know that. I mean, I know that you have alcoholic beverages, the big names, and they'll have like the light, so-and-so light. We know those. And then we know the zeros and things like that. But I did not combine Budweiser and Zero until this morning. I did not combine those two this morning. Also on the board this morning, I wanted to get into the continuing conversations of CR37 and the other news that came out from this. The interview with the self-proclaimed number one Arsenal fan and his show on Talk TV. It's been getting a lot of play, and it's I think it was released yesterday in full. So it was you got to see every little thing that was going on with that interview, and we might kind of go over some of the quotes a little later. But this morning, it appears that Manchester United is going to sue CR37. They're going to sue him, alleging breach of contract over comments in the interview. Once again, Jamie Jackson from The Guardian. Manchester United have appointed lawyers to sue Cristiano Ronaldo for alleged breach of contract after claims made by the forward in the recent interview, with the club seeking a swift resolution to the issue. And this might be your clean break, where we ain't paying you nothing, you just go. I think that might be the end result here. It's like, look, you did this on your own. You went rogue. You had this interview with the Arsenal fan on Talk TV. You did this. You didn't tell us. You didn't clear it. So, don't let the door hit you on the way out. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. That's my guess as to how this will play out. And once again, continuing with Jackson. It means Ronaldo will almost certainly never play for United again, and it's understood the 37-year-old has been instructed not to return to the club's Carrington training base after his participation with Portugal in the World Cup. When speaking with number one Arsenal fan on Talk TV, Ronaldo made a series of allegations about United. These included that he's being forced out by the club, that senior executives lacked empathy after his newborn son died in April, that the owners, the Glazer family, do not care about the club, and that the manager, Erik ten Hag, does not respect him. On Friday, today. Club statement said, quote, Manchester United has this morning initiated appropriate steps in response to Cristiano Ronaldo's recent media interview. We will not be making further comment until this process reaches its conclusion, end quote. Contract is worth about £500,000 a week and expires in July. United had no prior knowledge of the interview given by Ronaldo, who wanted to leave in the summer. He's due to arrive in Doha Friday at 11 p.m. local time with the Portuguese squad before the team's first training session Saturday afternoon. He's in his second spell with United after a supremely successful 6 years ending in 2009, 3 Premier Leagues, the FA Cup, 2 League Cups, Champions League, and Ballon d'Or. And return in summer of 2021, greeted ecstatically by supporters, hailed as a coup by Ten Hag's predecessor, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But in going public with his claims against United, Ronaldo has seriously damaged his standing and status. This followed his walking out before the end of the July friendly with Rayo Vallecano in October's 2-0 league win over Spurs. Despite this, Ten Hag made Ronaldo captain for the 3-1 loss at Aston Villa on 6 November. It seems this will be his final appearance for the club. Oh, you betcha. So that's the latest with CR37 getting sued for breach. And I mean, honestly, we've run through the numbers and we have shown that the team on the field for Manchester United, far more effective offensively and defensively when he ain't there. So not a surprise that we are getting to this particular point. But, yeah, this just seems like, how far do you want to push? All right, so you pushed. You've had all I can stands. I can't stands no more. So it's basically the Popeye moment. And CR37, I think, is gone. They just have to figure out the logistics. I know he's going to want to get paid because it's £500,000 a week. So basically it's a £26 million deal that's got 7-8 months left on it. He's going to want as much of that as possible. But since he went to a talk show guy, number one Arsenal fan, and did this interview rogue, I think that would pretty much be all the evidence that you would need to just kind of rub it out and go, nope, not happening. So, there's your latest there. Emilio, update. Athletic makes a superior non-alcoholic beer, Run Wild in particular. I actually have a kiosk at the Benz by Section 120. So, Emilio, with the unsolicited plug for Athletic. So there you go. The 3-letter paper, once again, take this as take this information as you see fit. This just came out from the 3-letter paper. England sponsors Lucozade has pulled all of its branding from the World Cup in a snub to Qatar. The drinks maker says its bottles will not be seen at matches, in training, or at press conferences following rows over the Gulf states' brutal laws. Harry Kane and his teammates will still be given drinks, but they will carry no branding or logos. The firm said today, Lucozade is a proud long-term sponsor of the England team, but we are not an official FIFA World Cup partner. We continue to support all England teams who celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion. While the England team have access to our drinks for hydration purposes, we will not have a brand presence at press conferences, training sessions, or on pitches. So Lucozade is apparently deciding that they don't want to have their name or logo or anything seen when it comes to anything having to do with what's going on in Qatar. So we'll keep an eye on that. So, you got sponsors drifting, you've got all these other kinds of things going on. And it's you've had the 12 years in the buildup, and you get all of this going on 48 hours ahead of time. So once again, no real surprise that everything seems to be catching critical mass and operating at like 9,000 miles an hour when it comes to everything going on in the World Cup. And speaking of CR37, Kyle Fansler at World Soccer Talk. Cristiano Ronaldo could be on his way to MLS and Inter Miami. As of now, once again, he's with his national side, making headlines with the interview with number one Arsenal fan. And he states, and so as consequently appears the days are limited, according to reports. Ten Hag wants Ronaldo out of the club by January, a sentiment the Glazer family likely shares. So, what next? Inter Miami, in which David Beckham serves as president, is in talks to sign Ronaldo. But once again, 3-letter paper. Take the information at your own risk. Steve Brenner at that newspaper says Beckham and Inter Miami reached out to Ronaldo's representatives. Moreover, this dates back to October 9th of this year, when the club first expressed interest in Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo expressed interest in a move stateside. So, once again, Fansler. Miami poses many positives for players seeking to play in MLS. Nice weather year-round, a laid-back atmosphere compared to the grind of Europe, adoring fans regardless of where you play. For Inter Miami, once again, this is Fansler's analysis. The move is simple enough. Huge boost to a side that only launched in the league in 2020. Brenner at the 3-letter paper also reports that Messi remains the club's number one target. We've talked about that for years. Athletic recently reported Inter Miami was, quote, confident in its aspiration to sign Messi in the summer of 23. However, with the collapse of relations between Ronaldo and Manchester United, Inter Miami may have been afforded a new opportunity. Cristiano Ronaldo's focus is currently with Portugal as they begin on Thursday against Ghana. By the way, have you seen the new ad that came out? You seen the new ad that came out, that the Nike World Cup ad, with all of the different stars in the lab? That was awesome. It was a great 3-minute ad. You can't condense that down to 30 seconds. So if you haven't seen it, go watch. Also on the board, don't forget Sadio Mane is going to miss some Senegalese World Cup matches. The injury there from Sadio Mane, leg injury in the game against Werder Bremen a week ago. German coaches initially thought the injury wasn't serious. He's now going to miss multiple World Cup matches. Senegal's Soccer Federation board member Abdoulaye Sow confirmed the news, quote, we'll have to rely on playing the first games without Sadio and win without Sadio because we have 25 players apart from Sadio. Sow told the AP, no one would have wanted it, but that's what's happened to us. He's the biggest goal threat, 34 international goals and 92 appearances. Senegal, very talented. Mane's their most important player. Many pundits picked the Lions to go far, although they're currently ranked just 18. The squad includes Mane, Edouard Mendy, Koulibaly, Idrissa Gueye, Ismail Assar, Nicholas Jackson for a deep roster. So Netherlands is their first match on Monday, November 21st. Toughest group stage of the game. It would be that one. Then they get playing hosts Qatar and Ecuador to finish out Group A play. So that's what you're looking at from there. Other stuff on the board from all around. Like I said, this is it's a Friday, so we are all over the place this morning. World Cup commentator schedule has been released for Big FOX and FS1, and it's John Strong, Stu Holden for most of the games. They've called the World Cup final. You've got Ian Dark. You've got Derek Ray, who is going to be attached. Commentator schedule, it's going to be John and Stu on a Sunday. And then on Monday, it'll be Ian Dark and Landon Donovan, irony alert, doing England and Iran. That one's on FS1. Then it'll be Derek Ray, Ali Wagner doing Senegal and the Netherlands. And then obviously John and Stu calling the U.S. and Wales. Other crews that they have, especially when they go 4 matches in a day, you've got JP Delacamera, Kobe Jones. You've got Jackie Oatley, Warren Barton. Their first match is going to be Denmark and Tunisia. That one is on Tuesday morning. So those are your crews to call the matches. You've got Ian Dark and Mo Adu, who are going to be getting up early on a couple of occasions. But Ian Dark, Landon Donovan, Ian Dark, Mo Adu, Derek Ray, Ali Wagner, JP, Kobe Jones, John and Stu, Jackie Oatley, Warren Barton. So that's your main crews having to get up really early if they're in Los Angeles, calling matches at 2 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, or if they're on site, it'll be a little better. But that's what you're looking at there with your crews. Let me skip back to Atlanta United, and it was news yesterday that came out from our buddy Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert. And there are a couple of players that are on the board that it looks like Atlanta United might be interested in. So it looks like yesterday, as a part of all of the news, and remember, we're in free agent frenzy. Atlanta United working on a deal to sign free agent winger Derek Etienne Jr. He's in Atlanta meeting with the club, touring the facilities, and this was yesterday afternoon. Nothing done yet but positive signs. Etienne, turning 26, had a career-best 9 goals, 6 assists in 2022. Remember, he won the MLS Cup, the World Cup. He won the MLS Cup in 2020 with Columbus. Other news in and around Major League Soccer, the Paxton Aronson news. The Philadelphia Union, are going to get $4 million up front from Eintracht Frankfurt. Incentives could more than double the Union's total over time, not just 1 year. Sell-on fee is over 20%. And so there's that. Looks like Matt Hedges is being courted by FC Cincinnati. They are in talks to kind of lay things out. Cincinnati's looking for experience on the back line. No deal reached yet. Other clubs are interested. But when Matt Hedges wandered into Cincinnati, there's the photo from one of the digital boards where TQL and FC Cincinnati, they're all in for Matt Hedges. So we'll see what happens there with that movement. Charlotte had an interesting moment yesterday morning. Charlotte signed Nimfasa Bershemus to a homegrown deal. 6th youngest signing in Major League Soccer history. NYCFC's Maximo Carrizo and RSL's Axel K are the top 2, both signed ahead of last season, breaking Freddie Adu's longstanding record. So Bershemus, as the 6th youngest signing, he's 14 years old, 268 days. Christian McFarland signed for NYC at 14 years, 234. Emi Ochoa for San Jose at 14, 191. Freddie Adu at 14, 168. Then remember when NYCFC signed Carrizo on his 14th birthday. And then Axel K, 14 years, 15 days old. Gaga Slanina was signed when he was 14, 297 days. Joe Scally was signed when he was 15 years old. Gianluca Busio was signed when he was 15 years old. So that's what you're looking at for the news of signings when it comes to homegrowns and such. But yeah, so once again, sitting there and staring at what's going on with all the signings going younger and younger. Here's a question for you. MLS has announced the season pass. And, of course, the volume comes up full right in my ears. I didn't know that there was going to be volume in the promo as I sit there and trigger the story. So, every match, no blackouts, coming February 1st. MLS Leagues Cup, Next Pro, and MLS Next. You get all of this stuff. So, pricing. If you're already an Apple TV Plus subscriber, $12.99 a month or $80 a year, $79 a year. That's what they're saying. If you're not an Apple TV Plus subscriber, $15 a month or $99 a season. And this is outside of that purview of the season ticket holder, where I think you get the one allowance into Apple TV Plus. All of that stuff you get. Subscriptions start February 1st. Season ticket holder benefit. Each full season ticket account includes one subscription to the MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, one per account. It's included as a part of the paid full season ticket account. And this is the fine print. One subscription access code per paid full season ticket account, regardless of the total number of full season tickets on the account. So basically, if you had 4 season tickets, if you're a family of 4, you only get the one subscription to Apple TV Plus. Verified through the account owner's name, mailing address, email, payment information, attributable, etc. One-time use only, limited offer while supplies last. When you guys looked at, when that came on board, when MLS said, okay, here's your price points for the MLS package on Apple TV Plus, did you flinch? Are you going to be investing either the $99 or $79 without any qualm whatsoever? Are you going to be investing there in that product? I know I am, because I need it for business. And I know I have friends who are season ticket holders, and they're going to be jumping in. But if you don't have a season ticket, when you saw those price points, what did you think? Did it change your mind? Are you going to continue to invest the way that you are? Are you going to try and get season tickets? You're going to get on the waiting list? Are you going to get season tickets for another club? Like literally, like get a season ticket in the rafters in like Charlotte or in San Jose or in, Salt Lake. Do something like that so you can get the $20 discount and watch all of the other stuff on Major League Soccer on Apple TV Plus. Did that price point make you have second thoughts about getting this package if you were not a season ticket holder? So that's question number 2 as we're 45 minutes in. Did this price point make you flinch? What do you think about the price point? Are you going to be sacrificing other things so you can get this package? Let me know what you think about the MLS Cup package this morning as well. So that's on the floor. Also, once again, for those of you who joined in late, the opening kickoff question, if you could do your work from in your bed and do it under an electric blanket these days, would you? Because this morning kind of felt like one of those mornings where if you could just go ahead and do it in bed under the electric blanket and just kind of work at your computer terminal, could you do it? Would you do it? So those are your 2 questions so far. Okay, so Emilio says that you would get it. And like I said, I know that we are here in this house because we have 75 different streaming services right now going on in this house. We got you name a streaming service, we probably have it, in addition to cable. So I can watch as many things as humanly possible and figure out where I'm going to watch these things. Leagues all around the world, all over the country, all those kinds of things. So that's what we're looking at there with that. Yesterday also there was another name that was tossed around involving Atlanta United, and we got to address it on Thursdays with Nico. And it was and D. Graham brought this up to the floor. And so we got to address the Tony Alfaro was Fabian Rinkel, who writes for Forbes, SB Nation, a couple of other places. He's been featured on Telemundo and Major League Soccer. Fabian Rinkel said that Atlanta United is interested in signing a center back, Tony Alfaro. Alfaro, 43 appearances, 2 years, DC United, 82% passing success rate. Atlanta United looking to bolster to the defensive side of the ball with his move. So if this comes to pass, I would recommend going back and listening to the Nico Moreno show that we had yesterday, Thursdays with Nico, where Nico broke down the 2 seasons that Alfaro had in Seattle with both the parent club and with now what is called Tacoma Defiance, Seattle Sounders 2, as to the guy who's an absolute grinder according to Nico, and with everything that he's gone through, stuck with it and continued to improve as a player in his time in Seattle. So Nico had some incredibly positive things to say about Tony Alfaro, but for more of that background, go back and listen to Thursdays with Nico, where we break down Tony Alfaro, and then it was mentioned by Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert, Derek Etienne Jr. So 2 possible names out there for Atlanta United as they work their way forward. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else news-wise. Whitecap signed forward Simon Bashir from MLS Next Pro. LAFC signed Ryan Hollingshead through 2025. So that's a signing for them on the back line. They re-signed him to a 3-year deal, joined ahead of the 22 season that sent Marco Farfan to FC Dallas. Extension keeps him there through 25. Had 6 goals last season, most by any defender. Obviously won Supporters Shield and MLS Cup in his first year in LAFC, scoring a penalty in the decisive shootout. And 8 years with FC Dallas, 9-year career, 223 games, 24 goals, second most of any defender dating back to 2010, and also earned Humanitarian of the Year award back in 2017. So the Granite Bay, California native gets to stay in California through the year 2025. So big news there for LAFC. Austin claimed forward Alfonso Ocampo Chavez off waivers, because we're in the waiver section of the deal, off of end-of-the-year waivers list on Thursday. 20-year Seattle Sounders, 20-year-old Seattle Sounders homegrown. And if both sides now fail to agree to terms on a contract, Austin retains rights of first refusal on the player. So he's a product of the academy for the Sounders, 3 appearances in the 2019 season, spent the 2022 campaign with Tacoma Defiance, 9 goals, 4 assists in 23 matches. Year earlier, he went to the Austrian Regional League and with our friends at FC Penzgau Saalfelden, and had 1 goal in 9 matches there as well. So some little bits and pieces of news and transfers here and there. So we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff as well. Back to your comments about the Apple TV Plus. That's the words I'm looking for. Emilio says he'd get it. You're getting rid of DirecTV and Bally's, so you still come out ahead. Unless the Braves and Hawks are important to you. Because remember also, Bally's is starting that own separate streaming app development of theirs, and I don't know what the price point is for that. But yeah, if the Braves/Hawks are important to you and you still want to watch them on Bally's, and if you don't have cable, Bally's has started the app as a part of their idea of trying to draw folks in. Sinclair as a company is trying to find ways to get out from underwater with this particular product, because when they bought the regional sports networks right now, they, I think, are $8 billion under of the $10 billion, I think, in the purchase price. So they are way underwater on this, and they're trying to figure out ways that they can monetize it quickly and try to come up with some kind of eventual recapping of some part of the money that they spent to buy the RSNs. And of course, they are also on the market as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there with folks and how many of them purchase this Bally's app option instead of trying to get through cable. So that's an interesting part there. Patrick, definitely have concerns about folks subscribing to the Apple TV deal based on the prices. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be something that you got to look at. Like I said, let me see if I can remember. We got cable, and so that way I can watch all of the American networks. We have the sports package. We have the Spanish-speaking package as well, so I can watch Nuestra Tele, I can watch Telemundo, I can watch TUDN, I can watch Unimas, I can watch all of those. Then I have, let's see, we've got Netflix, we have Prime Video, I have Fanatis as part of the activity here in the office, because Teisei has become invaluable at points in trying to find out what's going on in South America with South American opinions on the game and activity in the game and that kind of stuff. So yeah, fntz.co/soccer down here, and you can subscribe there and join up with our friends at Fanatis. And then there's all the other magazines and things like that you subscribe to. Paramount Plus is another one. So yeah, we've got pretty much every streaming element that's going to be there that's attached to this particular household. But yeah, it's depending on where you think your viewing habits are, and you work from there. And so, yeah, it would have been nice the past few years where I had to buy the whole plan, no doubt about it. Patrick, I think it'll be good, but feel most folks will balk at the price alone. And what I would be interested in is the idea of season ticket holders that invest and season ticket holders that will be watching. How many outside of season ticket holders in a particular team's footprint are the ones that are getting the Apple TV Plus package? That, for me, was going to be the interesting element in all of this, because yes, if you're a season ticket holder, you get your one Apple TV entry. You get your one ID. You get your one walk into the door. Like I said, we've already got that because we watched Ted Lasso here at the house. I know that surprises you, considering what shoulder. Now, if I move that way, there we go. Considering that should not be a surprise that we watched Ted Lasso here in this house in an Office HD. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the numbers are outside of season ticket holders that invested in that invest in Major League Soccer. That's what I want to know. I want to know the folks outside season ticket holders that invest. I want to know what those numbers are. And yeah, Patrick, that's his concern. That's your concern as well. And Emilio, you are spot on. Center ice for $159 a year was entirely too much. So I just stuck with the national networks. And now that ESPN has the contract, I got all the games on ESPN Plus. And so that's another thing that we subscribe to is ESPN Plus. So we've got that as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of stuff to process, but yeah, like I said, my biggest thing, I want to know how many folks outside of season ticket holders are engaging in Apple TV Plus subscriptions. And did you notice that Apple TV Plus is going to be on the jersey right there below the right there on the wing, below the MLS logo right there? You're going to see Apple TV Plus on every jersey in Major League Soccer. Sam, the answer is no. We do not have an update on the new president for Atlanta United, but and like I said, I would have thought it would have been something involving MLS Cup in that week. But if Atlanta United right now is comfortable with the acquisitions and negotiations and with the personnel they have on hand, then perhaps the individual that they have in mind, is would be part and parcel with these ideas as well. So, and like I said, I have no inside information, but teams don't just stop doing things if they have a job vacancy, they're not going to stop doing things. So, that's why we mentioned the Alfaro and the Derek Etienne as what you can do right now in the free agency window. So we'll see what's going to happen there and what kind of additions are going to be made for Atlanta United. And once again, remember, we went through the end of season looks and where you had a couple of players. Let me see if I can go back and recoup that info quickly because everybody was making their announcements. Oh yeah, CONCACAF Champions League schedule. We'll get into that too in a little bit. The end of season stuff, and I've got to find those names. Red Bull's finalizing a deal to sign Corey Burke. We'll keep an eye on that. Claudio Bravo signed a contract extension. Where is it? So, so I'll find it here in a second. But basically, it has to do with who's in, who's out, and trying to figure out where I can find that information because I didn't save that email readily available. The end of season transactions for Atlanta United. So this is the beautiful thing about the end of when you're trying to do something live. You're trying to sit there and it's like, okay, so who? All right, so there's the Brooks Lennon contract extension. So let me go to. I'm just going to go to the Atlanta United website. I know that this makes tremendous radio. All right, so end of season stuff. End of season stuff. That's what we're looking for here. In the community, rooted in the community, club news. All right, so let's see if the club news has year-end roster moves. Okay, here we go. Here's what I was looking for. All right, so here's your year-end roster moves once again for Atlanta United. 24 players under contract for 2023. Exercised options on Alonso, Campbell, Conway, McFadden, Miles, Hosechu, and Purata. Declined contract options on Castanera, Godinho, and Bryce Washington. Mikey Ambrose, Alex DeJohn, Amar Sejdic out of contract. The club remains active in discussions with Amar Sejdic. The loans for Ronaldo Cisneros and Roca Rios Novo expire at the end of the calendar year. So 24 players under contract for 2023. 7 had options exercised. 3 had options declined. 3 are out of contract. 2 at the end of the loan. So once again, free agency opened up 2 days ago, and that's why you're seeing all the other discussions. So right now you have players under contract plus options exercised. Right now you're at 31. So we'll see. And folks are, can be put out on loan, and like Barco and Eric Lopez, they're still on loan statuses and things like that. So that's where you are currently with Atlanta United and their year end stuff. So 5-stripe, Hosechu coming back and Hyndman still here are both surprising to me, but Hyndman renegotiated, so he's at a lower price point. And when he has been healthy over the last handful of years, and when he has been healthy, he seems to have fit in well and done what that position group was required for Gonzalo Pineda. So, and Hosechu, Mateus Hosechu, and I know that Five Stripe, I know that, Five Stripe and Emilio, I know that we will agree to disagree. But I'm going to go back in and go over the stats for Mateus Hosechu and what he means as that fulcrum in the midfield. And so it was 24 matches played, 19 starts, 1,600 minutes on the season for Mateus Hosechu in the midfield. No, I know. Still John F. Healthy, I know. So, all right. So the numbers for Mateus Hosechu. Top 3% in the league in passes attempted, top 2% in the league in pass completion, top 20% in progressive passes, top 15% in dribbles completed, and progressive passes received, he's in the upper third. Also, top half of the league in clearances. So he's not there to get you. He's not there, meaning Mateus Hosechu. He is not necessarily there to get you goals in the back of the net. He's a facilitator. And we have seen with Mateus Hosechu the vision that's there and the ability to find the open man to try to get things going forward when it comes to the attack. And so to have that kind of calming presence, remember, I mean, Gonzalo Pineda in the match in Nashville, actually, and we've seen Hosechu wearing the armband. So obviously the trust is there and the belief is there from Gonzalo Pineda when it comes to what Mateus Hosechu can give you on the field. Emilio, let's see. Emilio says, wish Hosechu would show some anger like Aruju. Seems too happy given the season. No, but and I'll get to your follow up there in a second, Emilio. Sometimes some folks just aren't wired that way. Sometimes folks just aren't going to be the kind of person that raises their voice. That's not how they're wired. Some folks are wired differently. Yes, Luis just absolutely wears his heart on his sleeve. Mateus does not. That doesn't necessarily. It just means that you're different when it comes to your approach. I don't think that it's bad one way or the other. And there are also, if there's a time to raise your voice. And especially if you're wearing the captain's armband, it's all in the timing when it comes to what you want to do. And if you want to sit there and have a discussion with an official, there are ways to go about it. Yeah. Okay. So, Emilio, no, it does not. It does not still translate into team scoring goals. But once again, when the ball is away from Mateus Hosechu and players aren't finishing and they're not being clinical, you can't blame Mateus Hosechu for completing a pass when those next 2 or 3 steps don't result in a goal. So that's the thing for me. It's like you can look at players doing different things to fit the same kind of you've got a jigsaw puzzle. There's a jigsaw puzzle there, and players fit into that jigsaw puzzle to where they all will work together and the puzzle will be completed, and you're not having like 2 or 3 pieces missing and you're missing like the windmill over in the corner somewhere like that. But some folks are wired differently, and some folks are asked to do different things in a philosophy that is in a skill set. It's like, okay, I need you to do this so you can help these players do this. And so when you've got and Mateus Hosechu is that fulcrum, I believe. He's that centerpiece, the spoke in the wheel that can sit there and find the open man to try to spring an attack going back the other way. And so, that's how I view Mateus Hosechu. Very, very, he's got great vision, great imagination, and can find the open man. And so that kind of calm that you have in the middle, I think, is warranted. You let other guys be the vocal guys, the ones that sit there and they'll get with their heart on their sleeve. But like I said, it's all part to me of a larger jigsaw puzzle. So that's where I view Mateus Hosechu. So then Emilio Pineda trusts Hosechu, but do we trust Pineda to trust Hosechu? Yeah, I mean, I think that trusting trusting and I'm trying to figure out your circle here. I think you should. Why would you not trust Gonzalo Pineda? With this is, I mean, think about it this way. He is the first manager since Tata Martino to get a second window for transfers. I mean, think about that. He's the second manager. He's the first manager since Tata Martino to get a second window to bring in players to help, solidify the philosophy that Gonzalo Pineda has. Because of all of the ups and downs with everybody else, it's always been one window, new coach, one window, new coach, one window, new coach. So I would ask that patience be exercised when it comes to this second window. I know that the fan base, I know that you guys want the team to be successful. I want the team to be successful. Makes for more fun conversations, no question about it. But I think the fact that it's key that Gonzalo Pineda is getting this second window to build the team. I mean, Tata Martino said it himself when they were in town, when ATLUTD was in town for their friendly. Yeah, I mean, in Kefsi, that's where I am. It is happy thoughts. And it's just, I mean, you ask around the league. I mean, Tata Martino, when he came in with ATLUTD, he anticipated great things with Gonzalo Pineda. He had fantastic things to say about Gonzalo Pineda. And when you get that kind of endorsement, I think that should carry some weight. So Tata says positive things about Gonzalo Pineda. Let's see what happens when everyone is healthy for a change. Instead of having 21 injuries on a 37 player roster activation, and you ask around the league, and I can guarantee you that no one saw or has seen as many injuries involving a team than was seen with Atlanta United last year in Major League Soccer. Ask around to like national writers and stuff. Ask around to players, front office personnel if they want to talk to you off the record. I can guarantee you that they'll sit there and say, no, we haven't seen a season like that before. So, just it stank, no question. It was what it was. So let's build off of that. Get everybody healthy, get everybody in, and see where you go from here with that second window with Gonzalo Pineda. I'm not going to deny that for a double negative. I'm not going to deny for a double negative that making the playoffs stink. I'm not going to deny that at all. You ask the players, they'll say the same thing. And I know that you guys are talking about Luis Araujo. Luis, to me, I give him a lot more credit than a lot of other folks because that last home game, the last home game of the regular season, Luis Araujo stood in front of his locker and answered every question that was asked to him. And he admitted that he did not have a season that matched his own standards. So I'm looking for a bounce back year from Luis Araujo because I know that when we all watched Luis, that it looked like he was pushing. But at the same time, I would like to have guys like Luis Araujo who will put the team on his back, who will work his butt off to come back to help out defensively if things aren't working out for him offensively. You saw that with Thiago Almada. You saw that with Luis Araujo. So I know that you guys are talking about Luis, and Luis has a high expectation for himself. I want to see how he rebounds off of last year because, I mean, we talked about it with Miguel Almiron when he had the same kind of run. Was it 17, 18? Where it seemed like nothing was working for Miggy. And we all just kind of talked about it, and it almost turned into a running conversation or a running commentary about Miggy. I think that's where we are with Luis. And I think that, Luis is going to come into training camp and he's going to have that battery on his shoulder, for those of us of a certain age group. I mean, I think he's going to have that chip on his shoulder, and he's going to want to prove not only to the fans and to himself, he wants to prove to everyone around him that sees him on a daily basis perform that he is a better player statistically than he was last year. Like I said, you ask him, he's disappointed. He'll be the first person to stand up and say that he was disappointed too. that kind of stand-up guy, I will take 10 times out of 9 every time. So yeah, I mean, so Five Stripe and Patrick. So yeah, I mean, I know that that you guys have been going back and forth about Luis Araujo in the conversations this morning. So let's see. Emilio, I want him to succeed, but I'm sensing he may be too stubborn. I mean, great. I think that all talented players, regardless of what sport we're talking about, all talented individuals have that link of stubborn in them. Seem to deviate from saying he's putting the players, giving the team the best chance to win. And by the end of the year, seem to be more about making himself right against the press rather than what's good for the team. I didn't see him. I mean, even if it didn't come across in quotes, Emilio, you look at what he was doing on the field. And I mean, and sometimes in press situations, you're asking specific questions about specific things. You're not getting the wide-ranging questions at times. You're not getting those answers that you're looking for. Sometimes the right question isn't asked. Sometimes the question is put forth, and it's you're not getting those questions asked that you want to have asked in post-game press conferences. So I'm looking at the activity on the field. Hang on just a second. Sorry, I'm talking for an hour and 12 minutes. Now that you have me intrigued, let me look at Luis's numbers. 4 goals, 5 assists last year. All right, so here's Luis's numbers, and they are off the chart statistically when it comes to. All right, so here are the compare. Here are the folks what EpiRef does, and I would recommend bookmarking EpiRef, FBref.com. Oh, no question, Five Stripe. No, we definitely do. And like I said, Luis will be the first person to sit there and agree with you that you need more production from a DP. All right, so the individuals that Luis Araujo over the last 365 days were compared to, a lot of them played in the Brazilian league. Reece Nelson from Arsenal was one of the names that Luis Araujo was compared to. A couple in the Portuguese league and one from Flamengo in Uruguay. But most of them were Brazilian players. So here we go. FBref, Luis's numbers. Top 10% in non-penalty XG. Top 1% in shots total. Top half in assists. Top 40% in expected assists and goals. And then more math, NPXG plus XAG. I don't know what that means. But top 14% in that. Top 20% in shot creating actions in the league. Top half in passes attempted. Top 3% in dribbles completed. Top 1/5, top 15, 17% in touches. Top third in progressive passes received. Top 20% in tackles and things like that. So he had a lot of green positivity in his numbers from our friends at FBref. No. I'm not. Trust me, Five Stripe. I'm not saying 4 goals, 5 assists ain't off the charts. No, and I know, like I said, I'm agreeing with you there. Luis will agree with you too. Okay. All right. So, Kefsi, you want Joseph and Luis's numbers, including minutes. All right. Let's see if we can do that today here. Let's see. FBref. So once again, FBref. Like I said, bookmark this so you look at your players. Okay. So, Joseph Martinez. All right. So, all right. So let's go with the offensive statistics. Here we go. Non-penalty goals. Obviously, Joseph as a striker was higher. Non-penalty XG, Luis was higher. Shots total, Luis was higher. Assists by percentage, Joseph was higher. expected AG, Joseph was a little higher. That other math problem, NPXG plus XAG, Luis was slightly higher. Shot creating actions, Luis was 20% higher. Passes attempted, Luis was 35% higher in passes attempted, 61st percentile to 25th. Pass completion percentage, Joseph was far more. Joseph completed practically 83% of his passes. Let's see. Luis, progressive passes, they were about the same. Dribbles completed, both ends of the scale. I mean, literally, Luis was 97th percentile in dribbles completed. Joseph was in 2%, in the second percentile in dribbles completed. Touches, night and day. Luis was 83 in the 83rd percentile. Joseph was in the 47th percentile. Progressive passes received, 30% higher for Luis. Luis was in the top third. Joseph was 38%. Tackles, Luis was in the top 20%. Joseph was in 1%. Interceptions, Luis was almost 40% higher on average than Joseph. Blocks, Luis was 56th percentile. Joseph was in the 1 percentile. Clearances, not really something that either Joseph or Luis did. Joseph was slightly higher in clearances, and aerials one, they were about the same. So that's your statistical comparison with Joseph and Luis. But you look at it. So that's your numbers when it comes to minutes. Sorry, Kefsi, minutes. Joseph let me go to the bigger deal here. Hang on. The overall. Let me duck out of the individuals. Minutes. Luis had basically 1/3 more minutes than Joseph did. Luis, 28 matches played, 26 starts, just under 2,200 minutes. Joseph, 26 matches, 12 starts, 1,465 minutes. So that's your numbers, your minutes comparison with those two. So that's your FB-ref statistical comparison with Luis and Joseph this morning. Oh wow, we are way past the hour mark. So I guess it's time. Yeah, no worries. What we're here for. It's that time for me to figure out where the music levels are and lower them so I don't blow you out and distort myself. Take it down to about 19 and hit rock and roll so we can read the promo. For for odor-free clean fresh air. That's a good way to start the promo. For odor-free clean fresh air, take two. One place you need to go is our friends at Almada Service. Almada Service deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminates all organic odors, including those like pet, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use Almada Service to eliminate bad odors to help them tolerate their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with realtors and property. Almada Service kind of the environment. We like that these days, offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze, our favorite masking agent, because when you grab that masking agent from either under the sink or above you in the cupboard, you spray it in the air. There's a reason it's called a masking agent, because all it does is mask the odor. It doesn't attack the issue all the way down to the molecule like our friends at Lemonize do with their proven scientific formula. Price is very, very easy when it comes to cubic feet or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you, your choice. Results in 24 hours or less. Any kind of questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go. It's their website, where I grab my pen. Lemonize.com, but do us a favor after the .com, go /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world that you are reaching out to them from, so they can help you with your issues. So your full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, Lemonize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Lemon Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. Slow fade, and the crash will come there. Okay, so there's the. You get to a point. And you're wondering, it's like, okay, where does the crash happen? 5 stripe, you are not alone with what folks are looking forward to, because I mean, when you had the injuries that you had, Ozzie Alonso, Miles Robinson, Brad Guzan, that's down the spine of your team. That's down the spine of your team. And yeah, it is speed metal I'm talking over. 6 out of 10. I know. Yeah, Patrick, the thing that they were trying to figure out was a discernible volume for the music, so you could hear me and not have me be distorted. It looked like 25 was too much, and we got a scale from 1 to 100 on the audio bar. So 25 was too much. Then I took it down to 15, and I feel like I'm doing the Three Bears bit here. 25 was too much. 15 wasn't enough, because then you couldn't hear the music. And then I tried to find like 19 and 20, and so it was cutting out a bit. So not necessarily a surprise. So, yeah, it is speed metal that I'm talking over. They have various cuts that you can do your talking over. There's this. Of course, I'd have to turn the volume back up so you could hear it. That's acoustic cinematic. Dance pop. Yeah, so that's dance pop. Daydreaming. And we've heard that one before. Feeding the Ducks. I don't know what this one is. Seemed kind of retro. Into Space. And we've used that one in times of like fantasy segments. Lo-fi. We used that one before. Night driving. That seems kind of night driving-ish. And then there's the various sound that I've pulled in of a couple of different things. Like the Panenka call. It's like stuff that I've saved from drops and things like that. So those are our music cuts that we have. But yeah, I use the rock and roll that says, literally it says rock. So that's the rock music cut is the one that I use, and we used it for the promo. So no question. Yeah, once again, got to be better. Can't give up so many stupid goals. I think everybody would agree. So I think Emilio is looking at 10 games as to how quickly they can be 100%, meaning Miles and Goose. So we'll see what it looks like. But then I think that 10 is, the quarter pole puts you like 8 or 9 matches, and I think that can show you who you are. But I know that D. Graham and a lot of others, you guys were sitting there saying, okay, well, maybe a little later just because of the injuries to kind of figure out where you are in the season. So maybe the halfway point. So, David, audio engineering down here. I love everything about this being part of most of my mornings. Thanks for hanging out with us, David. I mean, it's great because the show eventually rolls itself over onto the podcast form. So don't forget, if you don't have it, don't forget to download the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android, so you can pick it up all the way over and listen to all of our crazy product. If you missed it yesterday, we caught up with Ben Pearman with the new head coach of the Charleston Battery, which was a shocker in USL Championship. Ben Pearman takes Memphis 901 to a top 4 place in the USL Championship. And all of a sudden, he ends up in Charleston with the Charleston Battery. It was an absolute stunner that came across the board. So last year with Memphis 901 in the Eastern Conference, they were second. They were the 2 seed in the East last year. 21, 8-5 in 34 matches. They were the 2 seed. Had Philip Goodrum. It was almost like Atlanta United 2 West, where you had Luis Fernando, Laurent Kisiadou, Chris Allen, Philip Goodrum. And they signed Leston Paul, their captain, to another deal for 2023 yesterday as well. But Memphis 901, Ben Pierman, after a slow start and having a short roster when he first got the gig, Memphis 901 second in the East last year, and he goes all the way to the other end of the table. Connor Casey was hired for Charleston last year, and they were awful out of the blocks. Finished winning only 6 of 34. Casey did not finish the year. So 6-21-7 for Charleston. They were 12th out of the 14 teams in the East. Atlanta United 2. They were 2 points behind them in 13th. But so Ben Pierman leaves Memphis 901, goes to Charleston Battery, and we caught up with him yesterday. So it was a good conversation to have about the why. The why. Why would Ben Pierman go from one end of the world to the other in the Eastern Conference USL Championship? Thank you. Now, Kefsi, it was fun to catch up with Ben Pierman and find out the rationale as to who he is, what he's learned from his time at Detroit City when he went to Memphis, what he learned about being the second place team in the East, and ending up now going to the Charleston Battery. So, but no, it was a fun 15 minutes when we caught up with him yesterday. So, Patrick, you're definitely true. It needs a better name instead of just Rock. Yeah, Berserker Death Hunt, I think, is a pretty good one. And so, and Uncle, afraid early losses will be excused by people asking for injury time recovery. So, well, like I said, we'll see when we get to that point, Uncle. And Patrick, Battery did pull a coup. And so it was a good interview yesterday with Ben Pierman. And yes, no question. And he'll be the first one to tell you. He's still just enjoying the seafood, because he even dropped a name of a restaurant, because I wanted to see where he's been lurking when he goes to Charleston with his family. And so he even dropped a restaurant name yesterday. So, Ben Pierman to Charleston. That was big news yesterday out of USL Championship. So let me check. And speaking of news out of the USL, Paul the Wall retired out of Greenville. So you got big news out of Greenville. So the Greenville Triumph and Paul Christensen, we remember him from his time with Atlanta United. So Paul Christensen announced his retirement, 3 seasons with Greenville. And so Paul the Wall is now retired with his time in USL League One. So, all right. So update from Tariq Panja. And if you don't follow him, I would recommend that you do it. And it's Tariq Panja at the New York Times, and he's got a bit of an update that on the beer situation that we talked about this morning, with Budweiser not being allowed to sell alcoholic beer and beverages on site at the 8 stadia in Qatar. Doesn't affect Bud Zero, but $75 million sponsorship, you get Bud Zero instead of Budweiser. So interesting elements there with that. So from Panja, quoting from his article this morning, in Qatar, FIFA has instead bowed to the demands of the host country. Uncle, LOL, no question. That raised the possibility that other promises that run counter to local laws and customs, including issues like press freedom, street protests, and the rights of LGBTQ plus visitors, were not as rock solid as Qatar and FIFA have said. But it also suggested, once again, this is Tariq Panja, that FIFA, which has faced years of blistering criticism for its decision to bring its Showpiece Championship to Qatar, may no longer be in full control of major decisions related to its event. A decade ago, for example, the soccer body pressured Brazil for just the opposite outcome, leaning on the Brazilian government to change the law in order to allow beer to be sold in stadia, a practice that had been banned in Brazil since 2003. So, so we'll keep an eye on all of that. So, Tariq Panja at the New York Times. And I think, I'm trying to remember, do we subscribe to the New York Times here at the office? I think we subscribe to the Washington Post. So beer is out at the World Cup. And, so 12 years and, 12 years, everything's cool. 2 days ahead of time, it's not. So we'll continue to see what the latest is there with everything going on in the, you can give a plug for a different podcast. Go for it. Absolutely, Patrick. So, go ahead and let us know what's on your mind and share the information. We're one big happy family here. So now go for it. Let me get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo. And the schedule for today outside of anything going on. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo involving players and everything else before we go. So today's gossip, it is January deal could be on the cards for Jude Bellingham. And I guess this is our new national emergency, trying to figure out where Jude Bellingham goes. Liverpool and Juve monitoring the ongoing contract negotiations between Mason Mount and Chelsea. That's from The Guardian. 4-letter paper, so take it at your own peril. Chelsea view Mount as a future club captain, but his current deal makes the Blues Academy graduate one of the lowest paid players in the squad. Liverpool have sent scouts to the World Cup to watch Athletic Bilbao striker Nico Williams in action for Spain. That comes from our friends at Fichajes. Former Spurs, Southampton, PSG boss Mauricio Pochettino says he'd be open to everything when asked if he would be interested in becoming England manager. That's from our friends at The Athletic. Leicester. Sorry, Knicks. Believe they can reach a deal with Yuri Tielemans to stop the 25-year-old leaving on a free when his contract runs out in the summer. That's at the 4-letter paper, so once again, take the information at your own peril. Chelsea winger Hakim Ziyech hopes he can impress at the 2022 World Cup for Morocco in order to convince AC Milan to make a move for him in January. That comes from our friends at Calcio Mercato. Fulham, Bayer Leverkusen, Villarreal, interested in signing Portugal right back Cedric Soares from Arsenal in January. That's from ESPN. Aston Villa rejected the opportunity to sign João Palhinha before the 27-year-old joined Fulham. Former Barca Liverpool striker Luis Suarez has turned down the offer to join Brazilian side Grêmio once his contract with Nacional in his native Uruguay expires. That comes from Fabrizio Romano. Poland's national team escorted by fighter jets on their way to Qatar to the World Cup. That was a great visual, by the way, on social media if you haven't seen it on Sky. Argentina and Uruguay have each taken 900 kilograms of meat to Qatar so players and staff can have a taste of home during the World Cup. Man, could you imagine the asado for that? And Qataris want FIFA to reverse the decision, and we talked about that. So the reversing of the beer decision. So beer decision has been part of the discussion all morning long. So Patrick's recommendation. Highly recommend. Good Seats still available. Yeah, and I get that notification about Good Seats still available because what they like to do is they like to go into old leagues and literally old dead leagues, and they'll talk to players and folks who reported on it and stuff. So Andy Wells about Admiral Sportswear, which designed many of the old NASL jerseys. So that's a requested listing from Patrick on the weekend. So let's go to gossip, rumor, and innuendo to our friends from Sky. And so we've talked about CR37. Bruno Fernandes says he has no problem with him. I haven't read the interview. So, and the awkward exchange that we saw said it was just a joke. So we'll keep an eye on that. Transfer Center from our friends at Sky. Edu Gaspar has signed a new deal with Arsenal. It sees him become the club's first sporting director. Brazilian's promotion sees him assume overarching responsibility for all our academy activities in addition to his existing responsibilities across men's and women's football. So that's news there. All right. So Liverpool chairman Tom Werner has said that Liverpool owners FSG were exploring a sale of the club, but there was no urgency to complete any potential deal. FSG took over for $300 million for Liverpool in 2010. And they're looking to move the decimal place one more side over to figure out any kind of a sale. 3 double extra large, if I remember correctly. That's what they're chasing. All right, so let's get into the papers in England specifically, avoiding the 3 and the 4-letter paper as we traditionally do. Guardian. David Beckham facing further criticism for his role as an ambassador for Qatar after claiming the World Cup would be a platform for progress, inclusivity, and tolerance. Not a surprise. We talked about Mason Mount. The Times. England are set to hold talks over whether they will take a knee at the World Cup before Monday's opening group game against Iran. Daily Express. Gareth Bale's using a golf simulator ahead of the World Cup after being banned from playing at a Doha course. Okay. Erling Haaland's agent, Rafaela Pimenta, has declared there are no concrete plans for the Norway striker's future as of yet, amid rumors linking him with a move away from Manchester City before the end of his current deal. Lionel Messi's decided he wants to room alone at the World Cup in Qatar with Argentina following Sergio Aguero's retirement. Spurs will have to act quickly to snap up Empoli goalkeeper Guglielmo Vicario in January, according to reports in Italy, with Juve set to make their move for the 26-year-old and Roma also interested. Barcelona also reported to be keeping tabs on Arsenal youngster Charlie Patino, who has impressed during a loan spell with Blackpool so far this season. Daily Telegraph, Liverpool has in Fenway Sports Group's confirmed Jurgen Klopp's key executive ally Michael Gordon stepping back from the day-to-day duties in significant power shift at Anfield. The FA will take on FIFA by meeting on the eve of the World Cup to ask why it hasn't acted to improve the rights of migrant workers in Qatar. Daily Mirror, CR37 has hailed his long-term rival Lionel Messi as an amazing player, insisted there's a deep level of respect between the two superstars. Messi has spoken of his happiness, quote, in Paris, as he appears to have poured cold water on Joan Laporta's attempts to bring him back to Barcelona. Will Ferrell says Cristiano Ronaldo would be made welcome at LAFC if he decides to give MLS a try before the end of his career, although he admitted, quote, we can't pay you that much, end quote, and hoped great golf courses and beaches could make up for it. And one cheeky migrant worker, according to our friends at Sky, urged Netherlands midfielder Frankie de Jong to join Liverpool in January, the Barcelona midfielder revealed after visiting the World Cup facilities in Qatar. Independent, Gareth Southgate excluded Ivan Toney from England's World Cup squad on footballing grounds, according to the Football Association's chief executive, Mark Bullingham. Avoiding the four-letter paper Daily Record, Aberdeen boss Jim Goodwin, now confident Lone Stars Leighton Clarkson from Liverpool and Liam Scales from Celtic will be allowed to see out the season at Pittodrie despite January recall options. So that's all the news that's fit to print from the papers in England. Excuse me for a second. Patrick, once again, Waylon Moore, who designed the Atlanta Chiefs logo, the Cosmos logo, and the 72 redesign of the Braves uniform, died November 7th. That was not covered. Thank you for letting us know, Patrick. And Uncle, obviously, with the question that's on the table, Garth Lagerwey was approved, I want to say and I forgot to ask Nico about this yesterday. Garth Lagerwey was approved, I think, by 91% of the vote at the all hands on deck meeting for Seattle with all of the stakeholders. And so he remains in charge in Seattle. And so, Uncle, I mean, that's probably a good question for Monday, in addition to everything else that's going on. So who is everyone else looking at when it comes to Atlanta United president? So who's on the search list? So save that one. Bring that one back on Monday, and we'll continue to talk about that as well. I'm trying to sit here and see if there's anything else going on before we go, and seeing if there's any other kinds of stories. I think we're close to getting everything squared away. The U.S., according to Sam Stejkal, did not train Friday in Qatar. Had their session on Thursday night with Al Harafa SC and not taking the field today, according to what a spokesman told him last night. They will be back at training on Saturday and Sunday before taking on Wales on Monday. So that piece of news involving the U.S. men's national team. So Emilio's dropping his name in the comments for Will Wilson. And so, like I said, save that question, Uncle, as we continue to roll forward as to who. That might be something that we pose early on a day, probably early next week. Now that you brought it up here on a Friday, so bring the question back in early in the week, and we can sit there and see what folks have in mind and why those particular individuals are on folks' minds when it comes to that particular individual taking over in that vacancy for Atlanta United. So I think that'll do it for a show. And once again, reminders: enjoy the matches this weekend. Everything starts up 11 o'clock. Once again, very, very wise that you're not going to be competing against the National Football League. So once again, you're looking at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning for your activity in the World Cup with the host nation. And we'll go over the juice boxes there in just a second. The activity today, right now, you got a bunch of friendlies going on and lower league stuff in Eastern Europe, Middle East, North Africa. Coupe de France is going on later today, lower divisions in Germany later today. Club friendlies are going on all over the place early in the afternoon. Premier League Cup is going on with all the U21 sides. Oh, great work yesterday by Vicente Reyes, if you missed it. He was going up against the Brazil under-21s, and he was in net for Chile. Had a big save for Chile, going up against, saved a penalty against the U21s for Brazil. So great day for Vicente Reyes for Atlanta United 2 yesterday. Lower divisions going on in the afternoon. League One gets their spot under the spotlight with a matchup at 3:00 this afternoon. La Liga 2 is going on. So, like I said, it's a lot of the lower division stuff. World Friendly at 6:00. The Dominican Republic hosting Cuba. Cuba's even money at a plus 100. Dominican Republic at a plus 238. And then you've got A-League women and stuff going on in Australia and New Zealand. So it's a very, very light day. Like I said, lower division stuff all over Europe and North Africa and Eastern Europe and things like that. And then Germany, Poland. So Europe, Africa, lower division stuff, some women's action, couple of friendlies, and League One in England. So that's what you're looking at today. But we'll do it again on Monday. And once again, we'll try to make the World Cup weeks as fun as possible. Like I said, I'm going to try to invite as many of our media friends as we can to just come in. If they want to sit there and say what's going on, say their piece, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. Just come in, come out, go on. So we'll try to make it as fun as possible while we're kind of watching, but not really doing play-by-play of the games off to the side when we're on the air. But we'll do it again on Monday, and we'll do it again all next week. Like I said, I think the only day that we won't do a morning show would be Thursday and Friday, because Friday we have the big get-together at Wild Heaven, and we'll do that there, and we'll turn that material later on in the day on the app. We'll still have like the World Cup wrap-up stuff that I'm planning with sound and things like that for posting later in the afternoons, in addition to the morning shows. So things won't be changing a whole lot. But with the holiday on Thursday, probably changes a little bit. But thanks to all of you guys for hanging out with us on a Friday. And just be safe this weekend. Enjoy your football, whether it's the oblong or whether it is the circular variety. And we'll be back at it on Monday. Thanks for being a part of the conversation. We'll have fun like we always do. And we'll be back at it on Monday. Since it is the end of the show, which ATLUTD, I'll play it safe. That means I get to do this. We'll see you again on Monday.